If you're a founder of a scaling startup and you feel like all you're doing is constantly putting out fires, then this episode is for you. My name is Agnieszka Jurczyk. I work with founders under pressure when stakes are very high and the margin for error is really small. In today's episode of Founder to Zero, I'll tell you why the brain under pressure makes bad decisions, and how just a few simple lessons borrowed from people who fight actual fires can help you regain control before chaos takes over. Let's go, shall we? It's not even 9 a.m. The laptop is waking up. Mark still hasn't, but he already feels like he's sprinting through a minefield. Barefoot, half awake, still in his pajamas. Ping! 3 notifications hit at once like cheerful little grenades. Mark opens WhatsApp. Hey, just a reminder. You promised to sign the A+ docs. Investors say before noon or the deal is off. And those smileys Kate sends him, why do they all feel so hostile? Series A was supposed to get them close enough to beat that to apply for venture debt. They wouldn't have to dilute their share so much. It didn't work out. This A+ round, it's the only bridge still not burned, and Mark can already smell smoke. He sighs and opens the term sheet again. Big pref. AI says it's market. Reps and warranties. Probably harmless. Triggering events. Just the name is enough to trigger Mark. Why are they always so sarcastic? Anti-dilution. Anti-what? How on earth is he supposed to explain any of this to his shareholders if he still doesn't fully understand it himself? That cold sweat on his back, he remembers that feeling all too well. Ping! 5 minutes to a call with their biggest client. Damn it. Sales overpromised. Ops under-delivered. Product is still pretending to be surprised. Fake it till you make it. Standard. And now the client is demanding a contractual penalty equal to almost half of the previous funding round. Accounting mentioned something about reserves. Reserves. It rings the bell. Somewhere. Far away. Ping! Don't sign anything. I'm on my way. Legal. Full caps. More exclamation marks than Mark can count. On your way where exactly? To the office? To the call? Ping! The client call has started. Mark clicks join. Good morning, he says. But what he thinks is, what good morning? Nothing about this is any good. Bang! The door slams open. I'm done! Mark looks up. The CTO. A walking thundercloud for weeks. Today, Category 5 hurricane. Forget it! I'm back to coding. I'm done managing other people's conflicts. I'm done playing politics. I'm done second-guessing the direction every time it changes. I'm done! Mark looks up at him with pleading eyes. Come on, mate, not now. I mean it! I'm out! And something in Mark snaps. Yeah? Then go to hell if that's all you're capable of. It's loud, it's furious, and yep, it's his own voice. Silence, except for the client on the call. Sorry, could you repeat that? That exact second, the door slams again, straight into the lawyer's face as he tries to enter. CTO, gone. Lawyer, groaning. Anti-dilution clause glaring at him from one screen, the client's operations director from the other, expression somewhere between irritated and pitying. And that voice, maybe from the speaker, maybe only in Mark's head. So, What's your final decision? But it could be different. Now imagine the same morning, same pressure, same noise, same everything is urgent chaos. But Mark is different. 3 pings hit at once, and Mark doesn't grab the first one yelling the loudest. He takes a deep breath, scans the situation, and starts directing traffic. The anti-dilution clause. He forwards it to the junior accountant. She may be young, maybe not the most experienced, but ambitious, sharp, an Excel wizard studying for her CFA. You have 2 hours. Drop everything else. Keep it simple. Skip the fancy details. Fast is better than perfect. The reserves question. Mark messages accounting. Can this safely wait till tomorrow? They say yes. He spends 10 quiet minutes on the term sheet. He writes down in bullet points the clauses whose consequences he doesn't fully understand yet. And then he asks legal. Worst case scenario if these stay as is. Short, in bullet points, by 10:30. The CTO storms in, mid-rage, during a client call, and Mark mutes his mic and looks up calmly. Look, I can see you're furious. I'm on a client call right now, investor meeting right after. Let's sit down at 2 and work through this properly. Then Mark turns back to the client, and with the tone of someone who knows his value, says, if you need an answer right now, it has to be a no. A penalty that size requires board approval with 2 weeks' notice. Let's see if we can find something that I can actually commit to today. Same chaos, same stakes, but Mark is steady, clear, in control. And how to get there is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Before we go further, a quick ask. If what I'm talking about here resonates with where you are right now and you'd like to hear more, hit subscribe. A thumbs up on this video would also mean a lot. In return, I'll keep making more content about how to scale a business without losing your mind along the way. Thank you for every bit of support. Startup life. Endless emergencies, right? Especially when you're scaling. Something's always on fire. Everything is needed yesterday. So let's borrow a lesson from the people who deal with actual fires. Imagine you're on a fire truck. Sirens screaming, 120 kilometers an hour, cutting through traffic like a slalom skier on caffeine. The truck skids to a stop. The door flies open. A house is burning. People screaming in panic. Chaos everywhere. Instinct says, grab that hose, sprint in, save someone, right? No. That's exactly how you get yourself killed. Because boom, an ambulance takes you out the moment you step off the curb. Now the medic who just arrived looks at you and mumbles, great, one more emergency. Thanks, man. Long story short, that's not how you do it. I'm a certified first aid provider, both on land and underwater. And you know what they teach you on day 1? That regardless of the situation, the first step is always the same. SCTA. Stop, calm down, think, act. In that exact order. You stop physically. You calm your nervous system. Take 3 deep breaths before you do anything else. You think, meaning you scan the environment, check for danger, assess your safety first, because you can't help others effectively, often at all, if you yourself are in need of help. And then, only then, you act. Those 3 breaths create just enough mental space for your brain to zoom out, to see the risks, understand the situation you're walking into. That's the moment you finally notice the speeding ambulance you nearly stepped in front of and that collapsing roof you were about to run under. Because you know what's worse than a person in danger? A rescuer who dies before they get a chance to help. Same goes for founders and their companies, burning with ambition to scale fast. Here's the thing nobody tells you in startup land. Your brain under pressure isn't just a little off. It's basically drunk. Not fun drunk. The kind that misreads term sheets, agrees to penalties the size of a small country's GDP, and fires CTOs by accident. There's a study from the BMI Institute showing that executives under high stress are almost 40% more likely to make impulsive decisions they later regret. 40%. That's not a rounding error. That's basically flipping a coin with your runway. Science backs this up. Under pressure, your brain literally shuts down the parts responsible for long-term thinking and flips into habit mode. Pressure narrows your attention, kills your working memory. It pushes you towards short-term relief, not long-term value. You stop being strategic and start being impulsive. Shortcuts, tunnel vision, bad calls, all wrapped in that confident voice in your head saying, yeah, that's definitely the right move. But statistically, 40% of the time, it isn't. Those quick fixes you go for when life throws more at you than you can handle, they always come with a price tag. And in a scale-up, one bad decision under pressure isn't just a mistake. It's runway, it's reputation, it's people. You're probably thinking, I've been under pressure for years and I still have some runway left. My reputation is still intact. My team, well, most of them at least, are still with the company. And you're totally right. Because not all pressure is created equal. And if you're a founder, knowing that difference can save you from making the worst decisions at the worst possible time. So let's dig into that. Picture this. A busy office canteen. Lunch rush. Every table taken. Orders stacking up like Jenga blocks about to fall. A waitress is weaving through the chaos. Tray in one hand, order pad in the other. 3 different people talking at her at the same time. Someone wants extra sauce. Someone wants their bill. Someone wants to know where the hell is their food. She's stretched. No question. But she's still moving. Handing out plates, refilling glasses, apologizing to one table, joking with another, holding the whole room together on sheer muscle memory. Still functioning. Then someone calls her from across the room. Once, sharply, impatiently. Just one more demand in the sea of demands. And she stops. Not slows down, not hesitates. Stops. Her shoulders drop. Her eyes lose focus for a second, as if someone dimmed the lights inside her. She walks to the back, sets down her tray, and says quietly, I can't do this. No anger, no drama, just the system shutting down. As Brené Brown describes in her Atlas of the Heart, that moment is the exact point where stress becomes overwhelm. Remember Mark? Remember, yeah, then go to hell if that's all you're capable of. That's where stress becomes overwhelm. You see, stress is motion. Stress is juggling faster. Overwhelm is when you can't juggle at all. And that difference matters because what helps with stress makes overwhelm worse. Overwhelm doesn't need more adrenaline. It needs a pause. It needs space. It needs you to step away long enough for the lights to come back on. And what if you don't? Think of a computer running at 99% CPU. Every day, all day. At first, it's a little slow. Then the apps lag. That's still stress. Then it stops responding. That's overwhelm. And you don't fix it by clicking harder. You reboot it, right? Then back to 99% CPU. Every day, all day, again and again. At some point, you'll see the blue screen. That is burnout. And if you've ever wondered how far away you are from it, the answer is usually closer than you think. This is why learning to pause before you act isn't soft. It's survival. It's not a luxury. It's a risk management tool. And honestly, one of the cheapest you'll ever implement. So, shall we? There's a very simple method that almost always helps me when I'm facing serious pressure. I'll be honest though, I wasn't sold on it right away. It took me a few tries before I actually believed it worked. I'm curious how many tries it will take you. Let's find out, shall we? One thing though, an open mind absolutely required. So how's that mind of yours? Open? You sure? All right then, let's go. Let's do something very simple. Something that costs absolutely nothing and gives you a lot more than you'd expect. Get comfortable. Not perfectly comfortable, just genuinely okay. If you want, let your feet rest flat on the floor. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw loosen. Your body knows what to do. All you need to do is not to get in its way. Now, simply take a slow, deep breath through your nose. Not too fast, just a little slower than usual. Hold it for a moment. Count to 3. Then slowly let it out through your mouth. Gently, like you're barely fogging up the window. One more time. Inhale. Slowly. Count silently to 4. And hold. Count to 7. And exhale. No rush. Count to 8. With each breath out, let something in your body release a little. Maybe your shoulders, maybe your stomach, or maybe that spot between your shoulder blades that's always so tight after too long at the screen. If thoughts come up, that's fine. Don't try to push them away. You don't need to do anything with them. Just notice them flow like clouds in the sky. And bring your attention back to your breath. Now, for a moment, gently clench your hand, like you're squeezing something. And then, with the exhale, let it go. Watch the tension fade. Same with your shoulders. Tense the muscles, hold, and release. Notice what's shifted, but don't look for a dramatic effect. Just check in with how your body feels right now. Stay here a little longer. Feel that everything around you still exists. The sounds, the thoughts, the things you need to deal with. But for this moment, you don't have to respond to any of it. Just breathe. Slowly. And that's enough. Slowly, bring your attention back to the room, to the screen, to me. Because now that you've felt what calm actually feels like, we can talk about something that works only from this state. Triage. The art of choosing wisely when the whole world wants you to react at once. Imagine this. Morning rush hour in a big city. A commuter train packed shoulder to shoulder. Someone's on the phone. Someone is trying to doze off. Someone else staring at the same view they've seen 1,000 times before. A day like any other. And then, in a split second, everything changes. A violent jolt, the grinding scream of metal, lights flicker, passengers thrown forward, glass shatters. The world tilts sideways as the train skids off the tracks and jerks to a stop. And then the sound drops out. A heavy, stunned silence falls over a carriage that was full of noise just a moment ago. Until someone cries out, then another, then several at once. An ambulance door bursts open. A paramedic steps out. She doesn't run to the closest injured patient. She doesn't grab the first outstretched hand. She doesn't run. She pauses. Takes a deep breath because she knows all too well how much depends on her thinking clearly right now. She scans the carriages lying beside the tracks, checks if anything's on fire, checks if anything is about to collapse, checks if it's safe to approach. It looks clear, so she exchanges a few words with her team, a few quick gestures, assignment of roles, then she puts on her pack and starts moving. She stops at the first person. A few seconds, she looks at him, listens to the breathing, one question, one decision. Green. She says, "Please make your way outside and turn right. Someone will take care of you there." And she moves on. Next person. A few seconds again. Pain, panic, but breathing is there. Contact is there. No arterial bleeding. Yellow. She says, "If you can stand up, please head outside and turn left. A doctor will see you there. If you can't, it's okay, stay here. Someone will come to you." And she moves on. The next person. She knows immediately there's nothing to be done. Black. She marks. And she moves to the next one. Here, no contact. Breathing is erratic, arterial bleeding, clearly red. Here, every minute counts. She drops her pack, clears the airway, stops the bleeding, and only once the immediate danger is contained, she moves on. You see, this phase is not treatment. This phase is sorting. A few seconds per person, sometimes less, rarely more. Because in a mass casualty event, every minute spent on someone who can wait can cost the life of someone who can't. This is triage. Clarity under chaos. Quick, clean prioritization without panic. You might think that sounds cold, brutal even, but it's absolutely necessary. This is what conscious decision-making requires in moments when there is simply no time for it. And here's where we get to the heart of today's episode. In a very real sense, every founder faces the exact same decision-making problem. Every single day. In a founder's life, mass casualty events are the Slack explosion, the inbox tsunami, the CTO drowning in escalations from angry clients, the wave of emails from investors who didn't get the P&L on time. Everything is urgent. Everything screams for attention. Without triage, the loudest issues can swallow an entire week, while the truly important things deteriorate quietly in the background. So let's take a look at how to run a founder's triage in practice. Here's the thing. Scaling a startup isn't about doing everything as fast as possible. It's about choosing fast what is actually worth your time. It's about getting things in the right order as quickly as possible. Because when everything is needed yesterday, the biggest risk isn't doing something too late. The biggest risk is focusing on the wrong thing entirely. That's exactly where founder triage comes in. Triage is not firefighting. It's not getting on top of things. At this stage, you're not solving anything yet. You're not fixing anything yet. You're directing traffic. Nothing more. Picture your most intense morning. 8 a.m. and Slack is already alive. Inbox flooded. Everything urgent. Everything needed yesterday. But you already know that there's no point in throwing yourself at whatever is screaming the loudest in all caps. You know that triage comes first. So you go through things one by one, a few seconds on each, no more. You're not analyzing, you're not solving, you're not going into details. You're asking yourself just one question. What color is this? There are green items. They might look alarming at first glance, but they don't actually need intervention right now. They don't affect your runway, your key clients, or your team. They can wait. The world won't collapse. Mark them green. Move on. There are yellow items. Important, but not critical right now. Someone needs to deal with them, but first, it doesn't have to be you, and second, it doesn't have to be now. Mark them yellow and move on. There are red items. These are moments when something is genuinely threatening your company, your runway, your key client relationships, a significant legal risk, your team's safety. Now, this is crucial. When you hit a red item during triage, you don't solve it from A to Z. Just as a paramedic doesn't treat the right patient on the spot. You address only the immediate danger. You stop what is about to become an instant catastrophe. Clear the airway, stop the bleeding, stabilize enough so the company doesn't die here and now. And then you leave it. Move on. Remember, the first red item is not the end of your triage. It means you pause, remove the immediate threat, and then calmly get back to sorting the rest. Because just around the corner, maybe in the very next email, there might be another red one. And then there are black items, things that can no longer be saved. Projects that have lost their purpose. Clients who genuinely cost you more than the revenue they bring in. Decisions you've been putting off for months because they're uncomfortable. These don't need another attempt. They need you to stop touching them. That's not heartless. That's not being shallow. That is responsibility. One more thing. You don't do triage in the middle of an argument with your co-founder. Not during a call. Not in the middle of the night when you can't remember your own name. You do triage when you're thinking clearly. First, you stop. Take a few deep breaths. And only then do you start sorting reality. Because triage isn't a skill for reacting faster. It's a skill for not getting dragged in. When you do this consistently, you'll notice something important. The things that actually matter start moving significantly faster simply because you stop trying to handle everything at once. Remember Mark from the beginning of this episode? CTO gone with a slam, lawyer groaning after catching the door in the face, anti-dilution clause staring at him from one screen, the client's face from the other, and that question hanging in the air. So, what is your final decision? And now remember Mark after. Same chaos, same stakes, but he had everything under control. As Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So here's your step for today. A small challenge. Next time you feel like everything is about to fall apart, stop. Take a few deep breaths and run the triage. What's green and can wait? What's yellow and needs a response, but not here and not now? What's red and needs the immediate threat contained so you can deal with it properly once there's space? And what's black, where the only sensible move is simply to let go? Try it and let me know in the comments how it went. In the next episode of Founder to Zero, we'll talk about why what got you here won't necessarily take you further, and what it really means to shift from being the founding CEO to becoming the scaling CEO your company now needs. If you'd like to go deeper into decision-making under pressure, or you're curious about how I work with founders one-on-one, let's talk. You'll find the contact link below this video. And if this episode was useful, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. It genuinely helps me make more content like this. In the meantime, take care, direct the traffic, and see you soon.